Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Diablo 3. Now, in case I was not clear last time, and I can't actually recall, but I think I missed something, so in order to do Whimsyshire, you must have completed Act 4 of the difficulty that you're on. So if you're doing Whimsyshire in Nightmare, you have to have beaten Nightmare Diablo. It's a requirement in order for it to spawn. You also must have that staff in the inventory on your character. It can't be in your stash. And as far as the difficulty of the enemies goes, it's pretty much right on par with most of the enemies that you would fight in Act 4 of, said difficulty. Maybe slightly more difficult. I've had difficult times with wizards going through that area, especially in Inferno on higher monster power in the past, so wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Another note, this video will probably be a little less action than last time. And I don't think I spent a lot of time on action last time. I don't know, we'll see. I want to go over a bunch of things about the auction house and all that jazz. Now, a few times ago we found some boots. And if you look at my lost thrash, let's see, I sold these. These are the boots that I found before, and we found them worth anywhere from 300,000 to, I think it was 5 million. I just wanted to push them out quickly, so I sold them for 1 million. And if you notice there, I only got 850,000, and that's because of the auction house having a tax system. Let's just put that on there for a second. Yeah, transaction fee, 15%. And that's just stolen by Blizzard. And, I don't have a problem with it in one sense because it keeps the auction house from being flooded with too much gold. However, it's also stealing money from me. So every time you sell something, you'll have to deal with that. You don't have to pay a tax every time you buy anything. But anyway, just to kind of show you that if you find some moderately decent items, you can usually sell them on the auction house and gain yourself a good profit. If you look there, right below my mouse cursor there, the sell value of this, if you were selling it to the, an NPC, a merchant in the game, you'd get 500 gold. This is substantially more gold, and while it's minuscule at, my point, when you're just starting off, that's a big improvement, and it will allow you to buy some better gear for your character. Now, on top of that, I also wanted to show off these. I didn't really go over them very in depth before. So the blacksmithing and jewel crafting pages and tomes. Now, I think I mentioned that jewel crafting costs more and is relatively harder to find, but a page of blacksmithing is 380 with the current auction house. I think it was 500 a couple days ago. And jewel crafting is over 2,000. See, I just went and picked them up during one run where I wasn't, going out of my way to fight enemies in Nightmare. And they will get me almost 100,000 gold. Same with the other tomes, or the tomes, but they're worth a little more, 700 and 5,000. Now, yesterday this was 15,000. You can see how much price is going to vary on these. So I'm just going to pop all of these on auction house. The interesting thing about these items in particular, if you put an item that has that you can stack, it seems to only work with them, it will include in your price per unit the actual value on the market at that point in time. However, if you put something like an elite item there, it's just going to see the 1923 is the sell value of this. 1923. It's just going to put the basic sell value. But if you look over here, sell value of 2967, that's not what it's going to put it on there. And that's the price for all 69 of those. No jokes, please. And so yeah, so let's just throw all of these on the auction house, see if we can get a little bit of money for them. Yep. Yeah, and that fills out the rest of the junk I have there. Now, what else did I want to show off? If you were trying to make money, specifically by, farming tomes and sources, essences, and all that jazz, you're probably best off, at least as of recording this video, to do it in Nightmare. You'll get more money for the tomes if you're doing Hell, but you get almost no money for, the essences. And in Nightmare, you get quite a bit more money for the essences. So I think it balances out. That's assuming you're not doing Hell, or Inferno, sorry. Now, if you're doing Inferno, you're going to find... Okay, I can't do that. Let's check. That's not the one I wanted. Crafting and dyes. Yeah, see, normal essence, we can just find out the value this way. That's worth about 900 right now. And the rare one is worth about 1,000. So let's go to Inferno here. About 1,300 and about 500. For some reason, these are down in price right now. Normally, they're right about the same, if only slightly lower. And, what was I going for with this? Yeah, so even though these are technically worth less, you can use these for crafting of better items. And now, let's head into game and we'll show off some of the crafting we can do. Now, there are different types of crafting to do in this game. Some of them are more useful than others. Pretty much all of them are done here with the blacksmith, though you can craft amulets with the jeweler Shen. Now, I have all of the books, and we showed off books when it came to talking about the Staff of Herding there, so don't need to explain that again. But you can craft items of different levels, and they have different requirements. This specific axe, the level 62 axe, with 6 magic properties, requires 5 of those guys, 40 of those guys, and 12 of the Tome of Secrets, as well as money. So we can craft these, and I would recommend crafting axes if you're going to craft anything, and we'll get something that is junk. So let's find something more useful. I find armor is more useful to forge than weapons. I just haven't had a lot of luck with weapons. There are some that are really useful, and these are the cheap ones I was mentioning a few parts ago. Now, sorry about that. Here we have razor spikes, which are bracers. Now, the good thing about these is you have the 4 basic stats, and what they're going to give you is they're going to give you 200 to 230 dexterity, or whatever your stat is, plus 5 magic random properties. Now, with these, we can... One of those 5 magic properties, for starters, can also be dexterity, so you could technically get, up to 300 or more. I think I've seen about 360 on bracers. Technically, if all the stars aligned, all 5 of those magic random properties could be dexterity, and you could have something with like 800 dexterity. Not that I would recommend that. There are much better things to put on there, but at this point we can't recustomize anything that we've already crafted, though I had heard rumors about that being implemented in the new Loot 2.0 patch and the expansion that's coming out. So I'm just going to create one of these, just kind of to show it off. And yeah, so we make one, and now if you take a look at this, technically it has, more life, more damage, and more protection. Protection is usually, you get strength, which gives you armor, that'll up it. Intelligence, which gives you all resistances, that will up it. Stuff like that. Also, resistances will help it in general, and there's some lightning resistance on there. Now, technically, this would give me more damage, but that won't always be the case. Say I had a whole bunch of other gear which increased my damage by 50,000. If I were to go put this on instead of my Lacunae Prowlers, I would end up losing damage because attack speed and critical hit damage, or critical hit chance, sorry, will become much more important later.
You can be.
You are going to talk the whole time, aren't you? Yeah, if you go up here, you can select dismiss, and she goes back over here. That way she won't bother me while I'm trying to talk. So yeah, I highly recommend that you get the the razor spikes here because they will be useful, especially if you don't have money for lacunae. These ones aren't good at all. They just had lower level requirements, so I picked them up a while ago so that I would, be able to use them on new characters and all that. And let's see here. We also have gloves. Gloves are probably my favorite thing to craft, mainly because I would use them more than I would anything else. Let's take a look at some of these here. Yeah, they're basically the same as anything else that we've had, so I'm going to craft some strength gloves because I'm more interested in those for my barbarian than I am anything for my wizard. And I got junk. Yeah, that's great. But well, it's got some interesting ideas in it, but in order for me to be interested, I would need something very much like this. I wanted trifecta with some strength and either some all resistances or some vitality. Now, yeah, that's just the thing with this is all of these are quite good being able to make these items because you can kind of customize them to an extent toward the class that you're looking for. However, you can't customize them enough for my taste. And we also have shoulders here as well. Now let's craft some intelligence shoulders. These ones, as you notice down here, don't use the iridescent tier, I believe it's called. And let's see, we got more junk. Okay. Now from here, I'd like to go into actually talking about why these are junk and what stats you want to look for once you hit about level 60. Now, let's just salvage all this junk. Now, when you salvage them, you get some of your resources back, whatever. Oh, why do you guys have to talk to me? Just throw those in there. All right, now in order to explain this, I'd like to go to another character, but I'm going to start off here. Now, some of the stats you want to look for as you're leveling up. Especially at lower levels, you want your main stat, which in the case of the wizard is intelligence. You also want vitality and any black damage you can find, which is that 30 to 95 damage on the top of that ring there. That'll give you a lot of base damage to work with and will help you out quite a bit. The other thing you'll want to look for, yeah, I got some here too. The other thing you'll probably want to look for is, of course, your bonus experience, which of course we have. Any boots that have movement speed are good. There's a few items in the game that have movement speed that aren't boots. One of them is the Lacunae Prowlers. It's always got 12 movement speed. An earlier one that you can use are the Slave Bonds, which usually have, I think, 10 to 12, or maybe it's only 11. I can't remember. I believe there's also an amulet that's got some move speed, though I don't have one. And I believe a belt has one as well. Has some as well. Where is that? Do I have that? Yeah, this one. This one, of course, is a Barbarian Mighty Belt, so only barbs can use this. Other than that, you want to look for that. Anything with a socket in it early game is good because you can throw gems in there. Even if you don't have the high level gems, even putting something like this, 34 of your main stat or 34 vitality will radically increase the amount of damage or survivability that you have at early levels. Not so much damage, it will start to accumulate more as time goes by. So, the amount of additional damage you'll get at, say, level 15 will be a lot less for the same amount of intelligence at, say, level 35. Just, it kind of adds up, and the more you get, the fewer points you need to get the same amount of attack boost, if that makes sense. Now, as you level up, you'll need other things as well. And by the time you hit level 60, you'll need a lot of things. One that you'll definitely want to get a lot of is all resistances. Now, these are my resistances here. Physical, cold, fire, lightning, poison, arcane, and holy. Now, I don't have a lot right now because I haven't geared this character for level 60. It was geared just to get through and get up to level 60, and that was it. So there are not a lot of items early on that have all resistances. Specifically, things will have an individual resistance, like this one has physical resistance. This one has cold resistance. That has nothing. This is one of the rare items, and you'll usually only find it on legendary items prior to about level 55 or so. You can find them in and around that area, but definitely a lot more at level 60. And as you see, legendary items happen to have it quite a bit more often. Other than that, Magic Find is very helpful. Anything that is chance to blank on hit, as this one has chance to freeze on hit, that can be very helpful at any level. It works a lot better, obviously, if you have faster attack speed, which this character does not have particularly fast attack speed. 1.86 is not a lot, especially for a wizard with the build that I have. But there's definitely a need and a desire for that. Gold Find is also helpful. You'll pick up more gold. What else would I want to talk about? Critical hit chance. Critical hit chance and critical hit damage become one of the most useful sets of skills or abilities or stats or whatever you want to call them by level 60. At level 60, the ability... Sorry about that. A cough a little bit there. Really not enjoying this being sick thing. Anyway, your critical hit chance and critical hit damage are going to be the way you deal the majority of your damage come late game. You have the ability to learn or have equipment that has a lot higher chance to have critical hit chance and like higher values and higher chance of it also having that on there. Now, 3% is not all that high. It's not horrible, it's not great, but it's something. Now, here on our gloves, we have a reasonable amount here. We have 9 critical hit chance. The maximum in gloves is 10. You can't get any in shoulders. You can get 4 or 5, I think. I can't remember. It's somewhere between 4 and 6. I'm pretty sure it's 5, but I'm not 100% sure. In the helmet, you can get 10 in the amulet. You can't get it as a base value in armor, but it can be included on legendary pieces. Same with belts. Same with pants. Bracers can get up to 6%. Rings can get up to, I think it's 5%? No, 6%. In a source or a shield, you can get it up to 10%. Boots normally can't get it, but there are some legendaries. And you can't get it in a weapon, again, unless certain legendaries. So anyway, you want to build up a high critical hit chance. And in this game, it's not, critical is double damage. Critical hit damage goes up with your critical hit damage instead of chance. Now, you can raise this up quite high depending on the type of build you have and the type of gear you're able to afford. Now, I said I wanted to go and check out a different character for this, so let's go and check out another character. So let's just switch here. I'm going to switch to my Barbarian because that's what I'm going to use in the next couple of videos to show off some of the really late game stuff, and he's my highest level. And has my best survivability, assuming I don't, raise the difficulty too high. And look at that, we sold something. Alright. Let's take a look at my Barbarian here. Yeah, 51% critical hit damage, almost 500 or critical hit chance. So 50% of the time I will do almost 500% damage on top of my base damage. Not to mention I have other skills that will buff that up.
More fury.
So let's take a look at that. Yeah, now it's 64% chance to do 500% damage. Yeah, depending on the skills you're using, and that will disappear very quickly as my skill goes away. When you're trying to gear a character at level 60, doesn't really matter what your build is. You don't want to have lower than about 500 to all your resistances. As you see here, I've got about 660 average. It basically, I'd average it out from your lowest value. Becomes a little easier to deal with. So yeah, that's definitely something you want to go for. There are certain types of builds you can do that use some stats that you wouldn't normally have a lot of use for. On hardcore, I decided to use Oh, where is it? Life regeneration, though I can't find it. Life regeneration. Life per second, there we go. Yeah, I have 0 on this character. But I built my wizard on hardcore around that so that even if I had to flee from enemies because I couldn't take them on, I would at least gain points back to HP without having to rely on potions, because even though I don't even think I've gone over this, all potions in this game have a 30-second cooldown. Who thought this was a good idea? Really? Even Path of Exile figured this out, and they don't have a massive company backing them. Why is this so complicated, Blizzard? We don't want cooldown like this. 5-second cooldown, 10 seconds max? Not 30 seconds, that's just pointless. And we also need better potions, considering that restores 12,000 life, and I have 45,000 life. Okay, rant aside. Anyway, yeah, so that's just, there are certain things that can work out quite well. The other thing that you're definitely going to want, depending on your build, is lifesteal. Now, they're going to nerf lifesteal in the Loot 2.0 expansion patch, whatever. But right now, as you can see there, 2.90% of damage converted to life. That's known as lifesteal. There are other variations on this as well. As you see, life per kill. You have life every time you kill an enemy. There's also life on hit. And this is the one that you're going to want to stack in the later patches. But for now, we can still make use of lifesteal. Unfortunately, a lot of the items I'm going to recommend in the next video as, great items for, all classes to make use of, that unfortunately will not be a lot of them will have lost their usefulness because of this nerf in the later patch. But for now, if you're just trying to get by for the next few months, you should be good with what I'm recommending in the next part. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. Let's just take a look. There's one other thing I wanted to mention. Might as well tag this on to the end of this video instead of starting next time with it. Public games. Now, I haven't gone over people joining your games at all in this, but these are public games just like they always used to be. You can just, select this, and you can change your monster power value depending on what you want. You can also change your difficulty, whether it's monster slaying or, dueling or finding the key warden, which again I'll be going over eventually. It also tells you how many players are in this act. However, you can only join if you're in the level cap requirement, and so as you're going through, certain areas will have certain level requirements. I'm level 60, so all I can see is games for level 60s. You can't have a level 60 join, say, a level 12, a game with 3 other level 12 players. There's also 4 players maximum per game, which again, is half what we had in the previous game. Another failing. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Next time we will go into some more interesting items, as well as, I don't know. I'll find something else to do. We'll move on to the key wardens probably. Anyway, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.